lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me again, I got my boy Manny. We're here with our weekly picks. A lot of good stuff to talk about. A lot of different types of books too. I mean, I think it's like, whether it's self-published, getting it direct from the creator, or indie stuff.
Yeah, it was a good week, man.
So, what do you want to talk about first? So, do you want to talk about our joint pick first? You want to kick off with that?
So yeah, why not get that one out of the way?
All right. So our joint pick, which I think anybody that has watched any video that Manny and I have done together, or especially if you watched last week's, you would know that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, last year's #1, dropped this week. Months ago, talked about the original series when the collection had come out, and we talked about like, should they or shouldn't they do a sequel or stories in this world? And I was hesitant. Like, I don't like. Sometimes it's better to just leave those things alone. But this is a prequel, but it also, which surprised me, I guess it shouldn't have surprised because people were spoiling certain aspects of it online, but there is some stuff that takes place post the original series. So even though it's marketed as a prequel, there is some stuff that takes place after the events of that story. If you haven't read it, and when I say haven't read it, I mean like not this issue, but the original series. It's going to be spoiled here, the ending of that. So, turn this off or skip ahead a few minutes to our next pick, so you're not ruined if you haven't read it. So we left off with the original series. Michelangelo is the last Ronin, and he's dead, right? So the opening of this takes place. It takes place in the past, with the first pages in the past, but then it goes directly into post the original series. I think I said this before we recorded. I didn't want to like get too much out, but I don't know what I thought this series would be. I think originally I was definitely more interested in the aspect of like what happened before, because we get little bits and pieces of it. I think it was issue 3. Maybe issue 2 also. We kept seeing a little bit of like how his brothers died, right?
Yeah, you got like little snippets of how each of them went down.
Right. And within that, Michelangelo, after losing everybody, basically, I don't know, not retires, but and not a monk, but he kind of secludes himself from the world.
Yeah, he goes into isolation. Basically.
Isolation, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So I was kind of interested to learn about that, and see kind of what transpired between that time and where we are in the beginning when he comes back to New York. But we were introduced to some new turtles in the beginning, which I knew from people online that just can't help but spoil shit. They just have to fucking say something. And I'm sure, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but maybe this book gets speculated on because first appearances, I don't know, but I dug that part, but I feel like, and I'm hoping that we get a reason for why we're seeing this. Like, obviously, like, we have April and Casey Jones' daughter, right? Casey, she's now kind of like training this new generation of turtles. I think the reason why it was, to me, it was kind of jarring. I don't know how you felt. Was because there was no lead up to that in the previous series. There was no talk of other mutants at all. It wasn't like the current ongoing.
There was a shot at the very end of last year.
You're right.
But where it just showed like 4 turtles like in a tank, or like kind of like in a fish tank, where these turtles came. Like that, I don't remember it being set up in the original series, and like whether or not April and her daughter are the ones that mutate these turtles, or like they just new turtles that happen to fall into some mutagen. I mean, maybe that's what's we're gonna find out here. Like you said, it was dumped in like pretty jarringly though. Like,
but yeah, I feel like I'm sounding like I don't really like the book, and that's not the case, because I love the turtles, and I'm excited to kind of like get more. I don't know if this is 4 issues or is it 6. I mean, that doesn't matter. But Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz coming back to write, and then we have 3 different artists if you include like the Splinters journal page by Eastman himself. So I think that's S.L. Gallant on pencils and Maria Keene on inks, and then Ben Bishop is doing and that's in the past, and then the stuff that takes place in the current is Ben Bishop. Has he did work on the previous series. He's done work on the Turtles before with Eastman. So my favorite part of it was the past.
Correct. Same.
You know, like that's what I came to this series for, and I wasn't disappointed. Seeing Michelangelo in this defeated mode, you know, like his, and I think we talked about it before, like he's always like the happy-go-lucky turtle. So it is so jarring to see him now like kind of depressed, kind of like not laughing or anything. And this is some like tough moments that take place, that transpire in this issue. I'll let you talk about like your favorite moment because I know like you really dug that. I mean, it is a great page.
Yeah, my favorite moment is kind of when he's first attacked by that gang. You know, where like he's having flashback to like another battle, which was I guess his moment in like what was going on with his brothers and they were all being killed, and you know like he's almost suicidal and he's about to give up, but like he's remembering like Splinter's words to him, and then he decides to fight. You know, like I really like that. I found it very moving. But like you, yeah, my favorite parts are the parts like leading, you know, that show you what he was doing in isolation, like you know what caused him to want to come back to New York, like you know what caused him to realize that the Foot Clan and like Shredder's granddaughter was still you know operating the gang and all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of that wasn't really mentioned in the last Ronin. It was kind of like just you know hinted at. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder a couple of things about this book. Like are some of these concepts things that weren't used in the last Ronin, like you know, to keep it a little bit tighter, or are they just new things that they thought of afterward? Because I know both you and I expressed feelings that like we liked how it was kind of like its own thing, and we didn't really want it to get like too spread out. Like look at what they sort of did with the Dark Knight Returns over at DC, where like they just kept adding like sequels that were sort of like you know, some parts of it were good, some parts of it were bad, you know, but none of it really held up to the original. And there is some of that here, but I really like the stuff with Michelangelo in the mountain, him studying the journal, like him sort of being like a farmer and finding peace, because it does seem like at one moment he has found the kind of peace he's looking for, and then this gang arrives and like everything kind of comes flooding back. And that to me was the best moment in the book. You know, like that one page, I think, where he's getting his ass beat to the ground and he just stands up and fucking kicks ass. You know
Vicious,
what I mean?
dude,
Like,
just gets vicious. Like,
yeah, dude. I mean, he like, yeah, I know you're gonna say like that one.
here,
Doesn't he like fucking
look,
cut a guy in half? Yeah, dude. This one right here.
vicious, dude. I mean, it's
He,
so
like, rips the guy's guts out with an axe. Like,
yeah.
when have we ever seen Michael behave that way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've ever seen that. And I think it's like, it's almost like he doesn't say it in the book, but I think it's kind of implied by the time you're done reading. Like, it's almost like he took a vow not to fight anymore.
Yes.
But he doesn't ever say it. It's just, it's clear because he's allowing himself, you know, that he could take these dudes down. It like with no problem. But he's letting himself get beat up, and then finally it's just like something snaps, and he's like, you know, like, yeah, you know, and he's like, and then you flash back even further, like within that fight scene, this image of Michelangelo too, just like so distraught in the past with Splinter, and he's like, you know, this is not your destiny. You're not going to meet a coward's end. You know, and then that's what he's like, coward, I'm not a coward, this is not my destiny. And then boom, just like proceeds to obliterate these motherfuckers, dude, you know, like just takes them all down systematically. And I just, like I said, like I'm trying not to be total turtle fanboy and just like say everything Turtles is good. It's, you know, like that's why I'm like, I'll say what I don't like, and there is, you know, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the stuff that takes place post Last Ronin. If you're gonna do the Last Ronin, it should only be taking place maybe before. And I think, even if I'm being honest, like I love that we're gonna get more. I think they could have even done like maybe an 80, like just an oversized one shot of telling like what took place before. I hope, look, and again, I love turtles, but I hope that this isn't a precursor to like, oh, this sold really well, so let's just keep riding this wave. You know, like that's what I worry about, because then you kind of make you kind of water down what made it special, like you said with Dark Knight Returns. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's no longer this really special project that was a standalone. Look, I mean, there has been times where like sometimes you do sequels to a really good story and it hits and it works, you know, like Long Halloween Dark Victory are a
Correct.
prime example. You know, like they went back to the well, they did a sequel, and to me it's like just as good as the original. um
I agree on that one for
but
sure.
I do like that this also, you know, because in Last Ronin, the original, he sees his brothers, right? Like he sees images of them in his head, he hears their voices, and this is like you're seeing when it starts for him.
Yeah, you're seeing like the very first moment.
Yeah. Like it's a coping mechanism. It becomes like obviously like a coping mechanism. We're dealing with somebody that has like, if you really dig deep, like it's somebody with PTSD. You
Yeah.
know, Michelangelo has PTSD from losing family members, tries to like, you know, cut himself off, isolate himself, and, you know, give up his former life, and realizing that, you know, no matter what, wherever you go, there you are. You know, like you are gonna be who you are. You can change your scenery, but you can't change who you are inside, you know?
Yeah, which has always been a theme with the turtles and with their teachings to them and all that. So like, I do like that, and like, I love the portrayal of Splinter in this, where he's like, a little bit more of a hard ass than we see him sometimes in like the current like incarnations. Like he has like a drill sergeant quality about him, where like, because if you think back, like, and what I like about this series being a sequel to the original is that Splinter also understands, like, he loves these boys, training them to be soldiers to fight in a war. So like he's got to be tough on them, and you see that aspect, and that's kind of like what jars Michelangelo back in that scene. Like where like where he has that image of Splinter, like, this is not who you are. Like, fight, boy, and he just gets up and kicks ass. Like, I keep going back to that moment, but that was a fantastic moment. So like you said, I'm slightly apprehensive, but because of that scene, I'm willing to let this series play out before I make a decision on whether or not this is going to be like a cash grab, or like like a watered down version of what we've already seen. So
Yeah,
I guess it all how to execute the rest of it.
correct. Yeah, I definitely think this is something that like maybe when it's all said and done, maybe we don't talk about any other issue. We just wait till it's finished, and then we just do like a whole like video on the entire series as a whole, because I definitely think that first half of this book, I was like, okay, all right. And then it was really that second half where I'm like, I'm in. I'm excited to like see like maybe what comes next, because the first half of the book didn't really blow me away, but it was the second half with Michelangelo, and just watching him just like pick himself up and being like, no, fuck this. I got to take care of business, you know? So I'm definitely excited to see what comes next. I love turtles. So like, if you get, as long as it's a good book, then I'll be there for it, you know? So I'm excited. You want to do the next pick? You got any?
My next pick is Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise #3. Fall Sunrise is a miniseries being drawn and created by Tradd Moore and Heather Moore. Tradd Moore did Silver Surfer Black with Donny Cates a couple years ago, which fantastic. And as soon as I read that, I'm like, I'm gonna follow anything Tradd Moore does. And so I started picking this up, and I love it, man. It's a very metaphysical story about Doctor Strange, like entering this like new realm where from what the story is admittingly a little bit confusing, but I think that's sort of the point, because it's one of these stories that starts like in medias res, like in the middle of like what's going on, so you sort of have to like read through it to understand what's going on. But this is one of those books where like the art alone and like the way the pages are constructed and the coloring is gonna carry it, man. Like, these are some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pages. I mean, I just want to highlight some of this stuff. Like look at some of that. Like, it's freaking gorgeous, man. And it's unique. It's art that you don't usually see in a mainstream superhero book. So I always support these kind of titles from the big two, because as we've talked a lot, but like, these are the kind of things that I like to see from DC, like these sort of more standalone projects that take these characters that we love and showcase them in a new light that sort of also harkens back to the past. I mean, Doctor Strange was always a very psychedelic title, like going back to like the original Steve Ditko, Stan Lee days. And this to me is like the perfect evolution. And I mean, I haven't really been following Doctor Strange much lately, but like this again is something that you don't need to have been following Doctor Strange. All you need is a passing understanding of who Strange is and what his powers are to enjoy the series. But on the art alone, man, it's worth getting. Like there's no book that Marvel is doing that looks like this. And you know, it's broken up into smaller chapters, which makes the reading a little bit easier. The coloring is fantastic. I mean, again, you know, like I can just look at it and enjoy it. Like I keep flipping through it, and it's gorgeous. Like any of these pages are fantastic. You know, we did our Copra video recently, and we talked about like how you know Michael Five sort of like Michelle Five, I'm sorry, like uses all these things like automatopoeia and all these great like other like things that are only part of comic book language. And Trad Moore is exactly from that kind of school, man. He's a fucking cartoonist through and through. You know what I mean? Like he does it all, and it's just great, man. If you really loved what he did in Silver Surfer Black, you need to check this out because he's also doing the writing on this, so you're getting like a full unfiltered vision of what Trad Moore. It's not exactly glossy, but it's not exactly matte either. So like the images really look good on the page.
He's somebody that I really dig. I mean, I read the first issue, and I know that this kind of goes against what I say, which is like, don't wait for the trade. But I already knew they were going to make a Treasury edition, so I'm like, I'll just wait for that version to come out so I can just read it all together in a large format, you know. So
it's like you said, the fact that it's coming out in a Treasury edition, I didn't know. Like that's probably a good move because these pages are meant to be like scrutinized and looked at. Like if Marvel's gonna do any Treasury books, like it's got to be about stuff like this, you know. It pulls from psychedelic like graph art, like just a bunch of different styles, all pulled together to create like one of the more visually arresting books from Marvel that I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I love when they do stuff like this for sure.
Yeah, and they're not pushing it a lot, which I wish they were. Like I don't really see a lot of
publicity's part, But I think also like I hear it with like the kayfabe guys talking about like, Marvel or DC's not going to do it for you. You kind of have to get out there and promote. And if I'm being honest with you, I haven't seen Trad Moore promote. I haven't seen him say anything. I don't see or read interviews with him really. So I think that it is kind of like on the creator's part. Nowadays, it's like with social media and YouTube channels, there's so many podcasts out there, dude. Like I know that I'm not one of the biggest podcasts, but it's like I don't think a creator should ever think like, oh, this platform is too small, because you can't assume that my 1,300 or whatever subscribers, all of those subscribers, maybe there's 10, maybe there's 15, they don't watch other things, or they happen to just land on mine and watch that interview, and that's what turns them on to something. And I think that that's the job of the creator now. Don't wait for Marvel and DC. Yeah. Don't expect them to line up interviews for you, or don't expect them to promote your book for you. Like you have to do the legwork. And I'm not trying to like call people out or call Trad Moore out, but like, hey dude, like I would have done an interview with you to promote this book, and I'm sure there's a lot of other podcasts that would have had him on as well. And I think that that's the game you got to play now. I mean, look at what Ed Piskor and Jim Rugg do.
Yeah, even they've mentioned Trad Moore. I think Ed recently mentioned this title like in passing, so like comic fans are very aware of it, like they seek out his stuff. He's a name that those of us that love comics, like, we take notice of new cool shit that's original,
Yeah.
But yeah, you gotta get out there. And like, I really don't see him too much on social media. So maybe he's just someone that doesn't like social media. But like you said, it's not even just about that. There's many platforms, tons of blogs, tons of podcasts that you can get out there and get your work pumped, because, Marvel's only going to pump what's going to make them the most money. Their variant covers, like, like their crossovers, their tie-ins to the MCU, they're going to push that. I mean, I'm thankful that they're allowing projects like this to happen, because to me, this is what keeps comics fresh and new. But I would love for this to be as popular as like the next, issue of Avengers or whatnot, because it deserves it, man.
I agree.
If you get these images into the right hands on the internet, it's gonna sell itself. So get it out there,
Yeah.
Get it out there. But that aside, definitely pick up Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise, man. If you loved Silver Surfer Black, this is so definitely pick it up.
Yeah, for sure. My next pick is Lightwood, and it's a 4-person anthology. I came to it by way of
Hell
Monty
yeah.
Keene. It's you know, like the guy does Steel Streets, the bootleg Spider-Man, does all his superhero comics. I have every book that he's ever done. I absolutely love his work. And when he told me he was working on this, I think he told me in the last time we did an interview, but so I'll just read because so it's him, right? It's Jonathan Marks, Baravecchia, John Kaiser Knight, Monty Keene, and Kenny Wong are the creators. They each take I'll read the note from the editor, which opens the book. It's in this debut issue of Lightwood, 4 cartoonists embark on a tale of whimsy, sci-fi, and catastrophe. Each artist is given 4 pages to continue a story how they see fit. No script, no direction, and no idea of what's coming next. Yikes. This is comic book jazz. Here we go. Now, I'm just gonna like really quick, like show some of the art, right? The art is in order of the creators that I named off. Now, it starts off as kind of like a fantasy book. And then by the time you get into Mahdi's, so this, you know, this is just some of the stuff you'll see. And then it goes into like sci-fi, and now you're in space, and it's just like it's fucking dope. Like
That's awesome. I love that.
all of this stuff is just so great. I mean, I immediately on my Instagram, I followed all these guys. The minute I was done with the book, I'm like, I have to like, I kind of want to have them all on the channel, kind of like spotlight some of their work. If you guys are watching this or listening to this, hit me up, message me on Instagram, my email, click the links below it, and we'll get you on here. I definitely want to check out the rest of their comics. I think it's a very cool concept. I love stuff like that where it's like, you know, like you're passing the baton kind of, you know, it's like a relay race. I like that they call it I like that they say it's comic book jazz, you know, like
I was
that's
about to say that when you said that term, I'm like, man, that's a cool way to describe something like that.
yeah, like it's
Literally,
just
yeah.
it's very improv, you know, like you can get it. I'm pretty sure you probably get it from all of them, but like I said, I got it from Monty Keene. If you're not if you're not checking out Monty's stuff, you're missing out on some really dope shit. Everything he does is fucking awesome, and I think that this is another great project that has come to light through him and through like people that he's friends with. If you watch Cartoonist Kayfabe, which I'm sure most of the people that probably watch me are watching Cartoonist Kayfabe, you know that his books are selling out. Like the bootleg Spider-Man's gone. I think people are flipping it online on eBay for a shit ton of money. So don't miss out on this. Don't let that kayfabe effect kind of block you from getting some dope shit, because this he's the real deal, dude. He's pumping out content like on a monthly basis.
Yeah, he's on
I've
fire, man.
never seen an indie cartoonist that puts out this much on such a rapid pace. And he's only started in, I think he started in 2022. So
I was about to say, like, yeah, he's. I mean, he's admittedly been a comics fan most of his life, but as a producer of comics, like he's been doing it out, and like you know, I'm working on an interview with him, and he's also got like a super busy day job because like you and me, he's also in the service industry during the day, and he still finds time to do all this shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, I
it's
ask
even
him
one of
all
my
the time.
questions for him is like, how do you find this time, dude? Because like I work 40 plus hours a week, and like,
Yeah, I know he's a busy dude. I know what he told me is that like he's always drawing. So that's why his comics are a mix of like traditional art and then also digital. And I was like, dude, I can't even tell the difference of when you're doing it sometimes, you know, like I really can't. But yeah, I mean, not just him. I do want to like the other artists I mentioned, you know, like they're dope as well. And I look forward to like kind of digging into some of their stuff. And yeah, go pick up Lightwood. Definitely dope book, and all the rest of the stuff by Monty Keene.
I guess I'll do my next pick quick because we're seems like we're having some technical difficulties. These freaking storm areas of the cold front, but we talked about it in a video yesterday, and it's Copra. New issue drop. Just got it a couple days ago. Read through it. Like every other issue of Copra, it's fantastic. If you've been reading this series recently, like sort of a big arc sort of end, like a lot of things that have been building in the story sort of came together. We got a couple characters die, so This issue is actually kind of a good one if you're new to it, because it's sort of like a regrouping of what with some of the surviving characters and what's going on forward. So like, I mean, it's not like a total reintroduction, but it's that you get into Copra and you don't have the trades or you can't afford to get the collection, but you know, you can still get some copies of this from Michel Fife. It's $10, dude. Beautiful book. Again, his art just keeps growing and growing. Like, look at this spread. Like, look at how beautiful that is and how balanced it is, and like, it's so good, man. And like this one is actually like, it's almost square bound because it's a double-sided issue. Like he's giving you more and more pages with each issue, and you get a signature right there on the cover. So I mean, nothing is better, I think, right now than getting a brand new copy of Copra from Michel Fife. Like, you can tell that he packaged this himself, and the story is going to a great place. Like, he's starting to focus on like some of the other characters that weren't part of the original run. And he's even introduced a couple of new ones. And it seems he's building to like a second arc with this issue. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Because like I said, the last arc that wrapped up like almost had like a New Gods vibe to it, because there was a lot of like otherworldly, other dimensional stuff going on. And this is starting to become a little bit more grounded again. You know, like there's a subplot involving like some rebels in Spain and like socialist rebellion. So like, he's sort of, I think, bringing it down. I think he's sort of getting ready to start something new. So yeah, it's definitely a great place to start reading Copra. So get on that website on his Etsy and order it, man. Because I mean, you and I both know issues of Copra sell out like this, and he's not someone that reprints them. Like, once the issue's gone, you have to wait for the trade. And honestly, I buy the trades too, but you want to have these issues because like these are beautifully constructed comics.
Yeah.
And how he does it is to me is mind blowing, because like you said, he does it all himself. He's running that Etsy shop himself, and the quality of these books is on par or even better than anything you're gonna get from like even the big two. Like, you know, like just
it's definitely better than anything Marvel's printing the comics on. You know, I mean, I think
sure.
people talk shit about like Marvel being like, it's almost like thin like toilet paper. Like, you hold it in your hand and like the moisture in your fingertips, sometimes like the pages like will stick to your hand.
Yeah.
Michel Fife's comics, the cardstock covers, the quality of the paper, and just the way the reproduction of like his colors, like we talk about like the texture of it. I mean, it's very.
Look at that, dude. Look at that fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just gorgeous stuff, man.
Yeah. No, he's amazing.
He's getting more with. This is my favorite page. You know, like, that's my favorite page. I think he had posted that image on Instagram, and I'm noticing he's getting more and more into like having like these big like splash page images. You know, like he's playing with his page construction a lot, and I love it, man. I really hope Copra goes on to like be like 200 issues long, and you know, he's banging them out and they're selling out. So I guarantee you that it's something that you put your time in, you're not going to be shortchanged, because this is going to be going on for a while. And I'm sure that he could easily publish this through like Image or any other indie, but I think he likes doing it this way. It gives him an instant connection to his fans. So, and that's part of the experience of reading Copra, I think, is like that sort of like feeling, you know, that you're getting a package from him. So it's book enough. It's been one of my favorite comics since I discovered it. And, you might not be able to get the issues at your local comic shop. You can definitely get the collections, but just go to his Etsy. You know, you can find it online. You can probably drop the link down below at the when you do the video, and you can get it, man. And he's fast on his delivery too. Like, you'll have it within like 8 or 9 days. And I know I did, and I've never ever had a problem with him sending something out. You know, like he usually mails it out on the day you buy it.
Yeah, no, he's amazing, dude. And like we said, like the Copra video that we dropped this week, which I had a blast talking about, and it was cool to kind of like for him to like shout us out and thank us for the video. Like that also, it always means a lot to me. I know it's like, it's happened to me for years, kind of like where the creators will like say thank you, but still to this day, it's like, it's so satisfying to get like them saying thank you, you know, like knowing that whether they watched the whole video or read the whole article or whatever, just them like acknowledging it just like always means a lot to me, you know. And like I love that he's, like we said in the other video, that he's very interactive. with his fans, and he's very communicative with his fans. So definitely, I can't wait to like catch up on Copra. I'm a little behind, but yeah, it's definitely a great book. And next book I'm going to talk about, I didn't even know it was coming out until I was like looking at my polls for the week, and it just kind of stood out to me. Archie versus the World. Now, what Archie has done I think for the past, I don't know when they started, but it kind of started when they did that Afterlife with Archie, where they started branching out and doing different types of Archie comics, not the typical like comics we've seen since the 40s, I think, when Archie debuted, but we get like horror, right? We've gotten like Jughead in Time, where he's time traveling, like weird shit. Well, this one is like Mad Max Archie. And just that alone, I was like, okay, I gotta fucking read this and see what it's about. And even in the back, it's like it's like Fury Road meets Fist of the North Star. If that doesn't make you want to read it, just to see what's up, I don't know what would make you want to pick this up. But it's Aubrey Sitterson, who he does a book called No One Left to Fight. He's been doing a lot of creator-owned stuff for the past few years. He came on my radar because he's done signings at my shop, and he's friends with the owner. So like he's been very active with us. So I saw that Jed Doherty is on art, and he did a book with Aubrey, another creator-owned book. I think it's called I can't think of the name. Savage something. I'll remember it when we're done recording. But anyways, this book was dope. I didn't expect to enjoy it. It was just like kind of fun. Nothing super crazy happens. Nothing very consequential happens because it's just a one shot. But you like just seeing a super buff like Archie, like it's just weird. But it's weird enough.
Straight out of Fist of the North Star too, that design, like that sort of like art.
Yeah. And then you get Sabrina, like it's just very post-apocalyptic. He's Reggie's in here, Jughead. You got Jughead right there. You got like a lot of callbacks. You even have like Josie and the Pussycats. It's just
that's awesome.
It's just so out there, dude. But it's funny, like even this random character, I think his name is Cosmo. It's like a kid comic character from Archie. Like
yes, yeah. I think it was a digital only comic series they did for a while.
Right, and then you got like Pops right here, and he's like, look at that. I mean, like, just like feeding him from like this radioactive like canister, using that to kind of heat up the food. And
I love that.
Just getting to see like these characters in this situation, Cheryl Blossom, nice. Fuck it, look at this image of Archie, dude. Like it's just so crazy. And like I don't really think, this double page spread.
Oh, I love that.
Like I said, so like I don't need to go into more than that. It's a post-apocalyptic Mad Max, Fist of the North Star story with the Archie characters. And it's just such a fun book. It's a fun read. It's these are the kind of comics sometimes I want to read. Sometimes I don't want to read a full story arc. Sometimes I just want a one shot. Sometimes I just want beginning, end, and that's it. And it's a cool little idea. A twist on a character that's been around for decades, and I really dug the book, and I think that I want to see more. I know they talk about like next month they're doing Betty the Final Girl, but that's more like the horror stuff that they're doing.
Like a slasher. See, but I love that. Like Archie really, when they nail these sort of like high concepts with their characters, they're so much fun. Because I love like they did like Archie meets the Ramones. Like I love that one. It's to me. Obviously there's a whole fan base for like the digest books, and like as a kid I loved them. But every now and then when I'm doing my freaking grocery shopping, I'll pick up an Archie digest. Like they're kind of fun. But to me, when they started this trend of like sort of going, hey, let's just go buck wild with Archie and reinvent these characters in every conceivable comic book trope that is out there, I'm like, that's fucking fun, man. You know what I mean? And if Archie comics are anything, is they're fun, right? Yeah. So yeah, bro, I gotta pick that up. My shop didn't get it, but I'm gonna ask him to order me a copy because I do have a digital copy from being on the press list for Archie. But I want to actually read that.
Yeah, it's fun, dude.
A very cool collection of Archie comics.
Yeah, it's definitely fun and definitely worth picking
I
up.
forgot it was coming out because you had mentioned it when we spoke last, and
But like, yeah, I don't want to keep cutting in and out. And I know that the weather's a bitch. I know it happened out here when I think I was interviewing Steve Root and there was a bad storm and like it was choppy as hell. So I know it. I don't want to annoy any of our listeners or watchers, but yeah, I think that the books we talked about were really great this week. A lot of good stuff. I don't know what comes out next week. We'll figure it out. What to talk about. Obviously, we'll connect.
yeah, I usually look at previews like on Friday to see what's going on
Yeah.
going out. You know, what I get from Image in my emails, and then sort of like make, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of like going to the comic shop and being surprised though, because I have so much stuff on my pull list. I don't remember what comes out, so I just freaking go every Wednesday and be like, "Hey, give me my book." So it's always like, "What did I get? What I get?" You know, it's a nice little midweek surprise. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm super like I'm constantly like looking at my pull list because I can control it all online. I can add, subtract, whatever I want. So usually Thursday night, which will be tonight, is usually when they'll upload the new list. So that's how I found out about the Archie book. I was like, oh, like maybe I'll check that out. Maybe we'll talk about that. But sometimes I don't know for sure until after I read it whether or not I want to talk about it. I'm not going to like bash a book. You know, if I don't like it, I'm not going to spend like however much time we talk talking shit about a book. But I think the books we talked about, a lot of good stuff. Can't look forward to like what we're going to talk about next week. If you're not already following us, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Comic Lounge, all that stuff. Links down below. Manny's links are all down below too, where you can find him, all the other reviews he does for other sites, articles he does, interviews. And yeah, come back next Friday. We'll have some more picks. And on that note, we're out.